A narrative has been created online that is intent to portray Arsenal, the club, the players, and fans as entitled, insufferable, arrogant, and in some respects nasty. Most of the time, it is just supporters celebrating a goal or a win as you or I would. Sometimes it's the players celebrating a win, posting a little meme like we enjoy seeing our players do. But this has all created an environment. It is fueled and generated an environment where misinformation is being spread easily, which I think can be used to undermine this game that we love. And so much criticism has been turned into abuse. We're almost becoming desanitized to it. The discussions surrounding Arsenal are always hugely polarizing. Goalposts are always moving. And frankly, if we allow this to become the norm in football, I think it hurts every single one of us. I think it hurts and kills football in general. Like, share, and subscribe. We're going to jump into this in a little bit more detail. Let's do it. Welcome back, everybody. Please like the video if you would be so kind. Subscribe to the channel and turn on that bell notification button if you haven't done so already. Now, there is no love lost between rival fans, generally speaking, unless there's a serious incident that goes beyond football, as we saw last week with the hideous abuse and attack towards Vinicius Jr. Rivals don't like each other. We don't. And that is absolutely fair. And of course, there are times where we make snidey comments and digs at one another, and there is a fun element to it. And I suppose the younger you are, sometimes the harsher these things will be, but the older you get, the more mature you get. As your life changes, you have children, you just mellow out, I think, as you get older, and that's normal as well. And for me, I've spent a long time battling rivals over debates around supremacy of my team's better than yours, my manager, my achievements, and we love it. I love breaking down football matches, and I like speaking to you all about the game. But over the past 3 years, 3.5 years, the treatment of Arsenal Football Club has troubled me. And it's troubled me on a number of levels. One, I felt that throwaway comments that we all make, little digs that Man United, Liverpool, Tottenham, Chelsea fans have said to Arsenal for years along the lines of, yeah, no European heritage. That as a throwaway comment and as a bit of a joke has been pushed in the last 2 years like some sort of fact, as though no one does their history on what the Fairs Cup was before it became the UEFA Cup. And certainly the diminishing of the Cup Winners' Cup as a non-starter, a tiny, puny, almost pointless trophy to win. Of course, when it was a throwaway comment, they have no heritage, we all joined in. But when media outlets, when pundits, when the biggest radio stations in the world, when some of the biggest podcasts in the world start pushing this as a fact, that's when I think we all have to push back. I can accept bitter Liverpool fans, bitter Chelsea fans, bitter Arsenal fans joking that Sir Alex paid referees in his day because it's a throwaway comment. We are not seeing think pieces on it. We are not seeing millions of people listening to phone-in shows on major radio networks discussing it. We are not seeing the narrative pushed on some of the biggest podcasts in the world like it's fact. It is what it is in the game. An important part is a little bit of banter. But with Arsenal, it feels different, and I'm so not comfortable with it. I'm so not comfortable with it. And we saw how this can rear itself in the horriblest possible ways in recent times. And of course, the Football Terrace, my main channel, and myself personally, we spoke at large in the last week about Vinicius Jr. Why do people feel they're able to attack Vinicius Jr. the way they are? Because people deflect and blame him. For years, when he's been physically had things thrown at him, racist chants from crowds, and even when it's just been stick from the crowds, there's always been this narrative that he brings it on himself. The way he celebrates, the way he looks, the way he behaves, the way he smiles, the way he does things. He's an antagonistic guy, and he deserves an element of what he gets, right through to the amoebas who think he deserves everything that he gets. And again, I'm very uncomfortable with this. And I look at this on a wider scale. And the incident I'm about to show you, I'm not saying are on the same level, but I still think they are both unacceptable. And this image came out the other day that shows this grown man, not a child, by the way. And again, like I've said, doesn't make it acceptable. But if a 16-year-old's doing it, if an 18-year-old's doing it, if a 21-year-old's doing it, especially a man, because our frontal lobes don't develop until a little bit later, it's wrong, but it's a kid. They're foolish, they're young. This is a fully grown man who has a picture of Declan Rice's wife on his phone and is showing it to him. Now, this is to suggest, and it's horrible to say out loud, but it's the truth, that she is ugly and beneath him and overweight. And oh my God, look at your married to. Might be his girlfriend. I don't know if they're married. Look at your partner. Ugh, look at the state of it. Now, in the past, there's been songs that have been sung about people's wives and about people at grounds. And again, most of the time they've been sung with an element of jest. And when I was younger, I'll hold my hands up, I participated in this. But the older I've got, the more I've realized it's not a part of me. And you may enjoy this type of thing. That's entirely up to you. But I think this picture being shown and the level of abuse I've seen for this woman online directly towards herself or towards Declan Rice, just because she isn't the typical looking wag, as the media would call them, a wife or girlfriend of a footballer, I think is utterly ridiculous. But it seems to go under the radar because attacking Arsenal players, lying about Arsenal, seems to be acceptable. Now, for me, I've seen heinous things thrown at. I'm talking words for the likes of Mo Salah, and I absolutely push back against it on every level. But I see everybody do the same thing. I remember when there was a picture that circulated of Ashley Young's wife at Manchester United. And again, people went down this horrible sort of path, rival fans, of saying, oh my God, I wouldn't expect a footballer to be with somebody like her. And this was many years ago now, but it was sort of met with a huge pushback from not just Manchester United fans, but many a rival fan as well, Liverpool fans, Chelsea fans, City fans, pushing back and saying, what the fuck are you guys doing here? What is this? You know, it isn't a song. It isn't a little bit of banter, right? It isn't sort of the wife been on a celebrity show and, you know, had egg on her face and it's a sort of a song about it, right? Or anything like that. It's a nasty, cruel, horrible thing to say or do. But what I've seen in the last few days online in relation to this with Arsenal is people saying, get over it. It's a bit of banter. People should be allowed to do this. And yeah, do you know what? You do have freedom of speech and no one's trying to take that away from you. But freedom of speech doesn't come without freedom of repercussions and consequences. Also, you're going to be ridiculed for it. And I think, what is the mileage in this? What is the mileage in it? I find it abhorrent. And look, you might all sit there and go, Terry, I think you're wrong. You're being a stick in the mud. We should be able to make these comments. Everyone should be able to do what they want. We shouldn't sanitize football fans. But I think football fans can create chants. I think we can be intimidating. I think we can try and put players off their game without being sexist or racist or homophobic or xenophobic. Those things don't even need to be touched. But on an individual level, I always thought, from adult to adult, again, kid, I'm not saying it's right that kids do it, but I can ring fence children and young adults because they're immature, right? But I always felt for adults, somebody's wife, somebody's long-term partner, somebody's children, I always felt they were off bounds. I always felt they were off limits. I always felt they were. Maybe I've got this wrong, but it just feels that when it comes to certain Arsenal players at the minute, it's carte blanche. And my big fear, and the reason I mentioned Vinicius Jr. earlier, is because things always escalate. Do I think Vinicius Jr. would be getting the level of racist abuse he gets now if the level of standard abuse he was getting wasn't being defended for so many years? For me, the answer is no. It's why when Jadon Sancho at Man United was rightfully criticized for his problems with Eric Ten Hag, but as soon as the club started releasing hit pieces on him and leaking stories about his behavior, etc., people like myself went, I'm not happy with Sancho's performances. I'm not happy with his behavior. I'm not happy with his application at the club. But I'm going to hold back now from going in any further on this guy because we know where this is going. We know what this is going to lead to. Because we've got half an ounce of intelligence. You don't need to be Albert Einstein. You don't need that level of IQ to get it and see what's coming down the road. And I see the same thing here. And I think football fans have got to do a much better job in these scenarios. And in terms of where this all stems from, look, I think it does stem from content creators, the media outlets, again, taking throwaway comments and turning them into real pieces, which then get a response. So this is the way I think it works. Someone jokes that Victor Gyökeres's goals against Spurs means nothing because Spurs are rubbish. And everyone goes, wee. And then we speak about it seriously. But then the media then start doing serious pieces on it. So Arsenal fans start to push back. But the fans that said it as a joke then see the media talking about it and go, well, actually, I think I'm right. Look, the media would not do an hour show on this subject if it wasn't a serious talking point. So you arrogant, entitled gooners, it heats up, it escalates. They end up not liking it. We've seen this. How often do you see this on socials? The only reason I don't want Arsenal to win, the only reason I don't want this team to win or that team to win, Man United to win, Chelsea to win, because of the fans, what they say and behave like. So then people start being nastier to those players and clubs because of the way they perceive the fans, who are only angry because nonsense throwaway comments are now being made into serious talking points. You see the escalation pattern? And I could be wrong on this. You might see it differently, but that's what the channel's here for us to discuss this amicably. But let's take a look at some analysis just from the other day.
This was very good. But what I will say is, me and Ali would look very good against Dragusan. I'm not being funny, but he's a terrible defender. And Gyökeres, holding the ball up well, took his goals very well. But can we see it week in, week out now?
That's exactly what when you look at the calibre of teams he scored against, and listen, the North London derby was way bigger than we all thought because of what happened against Wolves. However, in isolation, Spurs are 17th in the table for a reason, right? And the teams he scored against are Leeds, Burnley, Sunderland, Spurs. I now want to see it in the Manchester City game in April. I want to see it in the League Cup final in March. I don't want to see it against Chelsea on the weekend.
Everybody calm down.
See, someone just said Chelsea. He scored against Chelsea in the semi-final of the Carabao Cup. He has scored against Inter Milan in the Champions League and has 15 goals across all competitions. Now, I don't disagree that for him to be looked at as a superstar, for him to be looked at as one of the best strikers in the world, he's got to start doing it against more teams. But this idea, this notion that the goals don't really matter, it means nothing because it was against Dragusan, I think that's a dangerous narrative. Now, he scored 2 goals against Sunderland, who are being lauded as having a very, very, very good season, as an example. And I just feel that it's a little bit disingenuous, if I'm being absolutely honest. You know, he got 2 goals, again, I'm just checking here, 2 goals against Atletico Madrid as well this season. Yes, he scored against Burnley. He scored a goal against Everton. They weren't new to the league. He got a goal against Nottingham Forest as well. I know they're down near the bottom, but at the beginning of the season, they were looked at as a dangerous side. And of course, he has to add more goals in some of these bigger games. He absolutely does. And we'll listen to more of the clip in a minute. But I think this notion of, but it doesn't mean anything because Spurs ain't doing that well at the minute, or they've got a bad defender. I mean, are we analysing all strikers like this? Are we taking goals away from all strikers that are scoring against newly promoted teams or against a centre-back that we don't rate? Are we applying it equally or just the Gyökeres here?
And right, we're worried about him not scoring goals. He's now started scoring goals. We're not happy with him scoring goals. We want him to score goals against better teams. Is that where we are?
Do you not think that's
I think he's doing absolutely fine. I think
he is, but...
Dragusan, though, come on.
No, I'm with you. A minute ago, I've got the stats. I think his goal-scoring ratio so far is more than acceptable, Gyökeres.
I love this from Ali McCoy, right? And I'm glad that it's being pushed back against here. It's great that talkSPORT have done this rather than every single person just jumping on that bandwagon. Because I remember when this was being done to Cristiano Ronaldo as a young player, he hasn't scored enough. Well, who has he scored against? What caliber of games is he scored in? Okay, scored in that. What about the finals? I scored in finals. What about this? There's always a new, and Gyökeres is going to get this. There's going to always be a new sort of, the goalposts are going to continually be moved. So if someone now goes, right, if he does this, I'll stop. And this is what I would say. If you criticize Gyökeres, great, but where's the limit where you go, I'm going to just stop criticizing him so heavily in so much detail just for a bad game or a bad run? What does he have to do for you just to be able to accept that he's a good striker and good strikers have down periods. That's my question to a lot of people. What can he do? If you can't change your mind, then then just make your point now and then leave it, because there's no point ever discussing it again. If he can score 1 million goals and I still think he's shit, fair, state it and move on. But if you're going to continue to ridicule him, there has to, at least in my view, be an achievement he can get to, a level he can get to that's tangible, not just subjective for you, where you go, fair enough. But I'd love to get your views on this, people. Like, share, and subscribe, and we're going to see you all again very, very soon. Peace.